Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Tribe. And today we are talking with Lisa. And I really wanted to do this interview for such a long time. We've been working and we've known Lisa for many years. I think at least maybe 5-6 years that we are intensely kind of doing events together and sharing fun, like you say. We don't say we work together, we have fun together. So Lisa has been such an inspiring person for us, and with this beautiful sense of humor, we always kind of really laugh so much when we speak, when we share. So just as a little introduction, I want to say that Lisa has been working in the fields of energy, feeling the energies, energy healings, those kinds of things. She will give us more details, and doing something called Biofield tuning. So, but also she has this beautiful way to explain how those energetics work with her. And yeah, without further ado, let's welcome Lisa to
Thank you.
this call. So Lisa, you're now in Costa Rica, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I know that prior to coming to Costa Rica, you had an extensive period of living off grid, and if I remember well, in Australia, right?
Yeah. It's and prior to that, there was I guess what amounted to about 18 months in my Womb on Wheels van in New Zealand was the first that I've been forced into that position of not having running water, not having toilet, not having shower, not having electricity. So whether that came from this false sense of a need to really know how to prep, despite my head saying, you know how to prep, you're fine. It's being put in these positions and these situations, and as well because I'm a permaculture consultant, and being able to practice these principles of really being aware of the energy, how to and I mean not energy, electricity, and an awareness of where that comes from, and these little fixes that we put in place around us.
Yeah, I remember for quite a number of months we had the calls, and you would be the one who come up with almost dark environment because there's this one light bulb being on and everything is solar powered, and you can thank God that there is power for the computer to be able to connect.
Yeah. But yeah, and it was terrible because everyone's just in this bathed in light, and here's me, this old crone, sitting with a little candle.
Yeah. I have to say, I admire actually your dedication to, and my feeling is when you decide to do something, you go all the way. And with this going off grid, you went all the way. So it was like no compromising, going completely right. There is no half solution. It's just totally off grid.
Well, I mean, I don't. Yeah, it's when I was in New Zealand and was invited into a community, a very, very little community, that I thought this will be great. And with working out what I was going to, they're a prepping community, and I was, offering advice with plants and how we make the best out of the space with the plants. But still, I went, and my favorite prepping item was 20 liters of maple syrup. So still, I don't know. Yes. So even with, knowing that you are capable of going for extended periods without the bells and the whistles, it's still, I really love my creature comforts for sure. So yeah.
So I understand, since this off-grid experience has ended, you came now to Costa Rica.
Yep.
There are some showers in your life, and we just shared how you felt this obligation. Oh, now there are showers. I have to use them on a regular basis. I love it.
Absolutely. if you pay good money for the bed, you have paid good money for the bathroom as well. So, but yeah, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But only if it's hot. The shower here, they don't have hot water, so I would rather not shower than not have a warm bath. I love Wim Hof, and I practiced Wim Hof and gone through his ice bathing, but that's more of a play and a luxury rather than a lifestyle for sure.
Yeah. I found really interesting. We will go into biofield tuning. I want to understand also this part, but
yeah.
What I found really interesting, we had a little talk before we started recording the episode, and you explained your journey with feeling energies and actually feeling crystals. And I feel this is really interesting to our Powerhouse members to understand, how do you actually feel crystals, and especially this, that some you feel, some you don't, and then you make some conclusions out of it. How does it actually work for you? How do you feel those energies?
So as with anything, being able to tune into something that is not us, it's needing to be in a very, very relaxed and open space. Also, really knowing that everything vibrates, like releasing this, that's just an inanimate plastic object. No, that still has its own vibration. So being able to, and prior to really feeling, oh my gosh, things like Tektite. I still do. I've got a beautiful little Tektite crystal stone, and it's like a poo. It's my Tektite poo. But at this point that I was able to really tune in to the sense of the crystals and what the crystals were actually doing to my body, and also being able to tune in to, okay, if you came to me and said, what is this crystal? Is this crystal good for me? Being able to actually tune into, okay, almost like surrogate tuning in for you. No, this crystal shouldn't be close to your head, or we need to clear this and rah, rah, rah. But it really started, it really ramped up because of water fasting, because water fasting disconnects us from the ground. We really, really do elevate, and that point of breaking long water fasts and putting something into your mouth, you can literally feel your body come in and condense and go back to the ground. So it was thanks to water fasting that I was really, everything amplified beyond belief. Feeling dirty electricity under the house, feeling wires under the house, feeling Himalayan salt lamps that were plugged into electricity, that they're terrible. So I've got a Himalaya salt lamp here that is slowly melting because I refuse to allow it to be plugged in. Different if you put a candle in, but that just, so being able to tune in, well, not being able to, it threw itself at me. So was it, did you feel that only while you were having this water fast, or that was just the switch and then you kept feeling it after as well? Well, prior to that, there's a trust and a knowingness that you don't need to, but if you choose to have in the crystals, with our chakras, people say these are particular colors and these are the crystals that must go here if that's a green or a purple, or it's like, that's not how it works. And when we can close that book of the learning and just hang on a minute, this amethyst, it just doesn't feel right for me. And allowing the truth of the amethyst, and amethysts just aren't a crystal that I really, they've never, and they will come if you need them on you or around you, they will come and they will let you know. But that's never happened with amethyst. And being able to close the book on, we've always got to put an amethyst on our third eye or whatever, allowing ourselves to play around outside of that, I think is very important. But really that the massive switch was thanks to the water fast, not having any, like the minerals, anything in the body that could densify and not allow these experiences to be very, very open.
So for how long have you had the water fast before that sensitivity had opened up?
So that happened after a 2-week water fast. So it was about 14 days.
So water fast meaning that you would just be on water and not take any solid food, right?
Exactly. But I am more inclined with the water fast to say that it's a good idea not to be just having your, obviously, spring water. You don't want to be putting rubbish water into your system. But I always like to put in a little bit of sea salt.
And can you describe a little, I know so many people would like to kind of understand how did these frequencies speak to you? What did you actually feel?
Okay, so with the frequencies, so with the crystals, it's about putting the crystals into my hands. And that's not to say that for every person, put your crystal into your left hand. Whatever lens you have and whatever perception you have with, you know, sensation and feeling and that's what when I was little, my mum we had not really crystals, but beautiful little stones. And I used to walk around with these in my mouth. I just loved the sensation of having these beautiful little stones in my mouth. So my mouth has actually always been an amazing conduit. I was saying to someone the other day, I used to put all kinds of weird stuff in my mouth and do weird things like licking fly screens and tasting mothballs. Oh, maybe that explains my crazy brain. But so for me, and it's even learning that I am an animal communicator as well. And with the going and doing these immersions with animal communication, our mentor explained to us that we started with tracking and tuning into tracks. And I would put my hand over the track, and my mentor said, you don't need to be putting your hand over the track, just allow the funnel. But for me, it's like I do need to put my hand over the track because that is my filter. So for me, it's very, very through my left hand that I pick up on these crystals. So crystals will feel, and then from that, with the openness, they can be something like, you know, very metallic crystals. They actually spark, and oh, wow, what's going on there? You know, very, very gentle, hummy, chilled, calm crystals. It's like, wow. You're like rocking there. And that's all just through the hand and just going, all right, what have you got? And that's it. And allowing through my hand. There we go. Crystals that will make me feel, wow, bright and exploded through my head. But for me, and I'm not saying, as I said, for anybody else, that's how I do it. That's how it feels good. And also, if I'm rushed, like with working out what crystals to take, because I use crystals in the Biofield tunings as well, working out what crystals to take, I'll just say, all right, you know, if it's Vittorio, who's coming for Vittorio? Bang, 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 you. So so pendulum as well, if I'm tuning in and don't have that calm and relaxed around it as well. And I've got hundreds of crystals, and it's so for coming away, it's like, all right, who's coming? I don't want to, you know, and I did. Every crystal's like, thank you, kiss, goodbye. You're going back in storage again. But yeah, that was just pendulum, and not having any vested interest. Some really grubby little raw things come out. It's like, oh, okay, you said you're coming, so it's not all of this, you know, beautiful that will present itself for you. So Yeah.
So the way I'm now really intrigued. So the way that this works is a person comes up and then you call the crystals to kind of show up. Who wants to come and kind of give a message about a person? Is it a question that the person asked, or is it representing a person's energetic field? What, how does it work for you?
So specifically with with working, and not even with working on the body and also remotely with biofield tuning, I will just put the question to the crystals. All right, who's coming in for Vittorio? Who wants to come? And then during the session, so the crystals get laid out, and during the session, it will just come to me. Oh, I think we need a crystal here. And I'll just pendulum through. All right, which crystal wants? And always the crystal that comes into my mind is the one that says positive for pendulum. But I'm just like, oh yeah, it's not going to be you. It's not, oh, it is you. Okay. And then, so with the crystals, it's either with the biofield tuning, the crystal, I'll put that in the field. If I'm with the person, if it's a remote tuning, I will often just lay the crystals on the chakras where, and it's putting an amethyst on the root chakra. It's the crystals say where we want to go. And then on the body as well. So I'll use the crystal with the fork on top on the body. If that's, it just, even though I say, that I think, you're going to come, this cannot be a thoughtful process. You just have to let it. It's almost like it's almost robotic. Bang, bang, okay, there. And you don't think about it. But especially with remote tunings, I have to write everything down because I need to report back to the person what's happened, especially because I do a lot of them when people are asleep. So being able to report back, so I'll, one half will be completely switched off and the other half is going, all right, blah, blah was used, blah, blah, particular crystal was put on, if that is of an interest to the person that's being done. So that's how I do it.
Yeah, this is super interesting. Having to switch off the mind so it doesn't add whatever information from the mind. So when you work with this biofield tuning, we work with the frequency forks, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you can explain us a little bit what is this work doing. It is, as I understand, entering certain frequencies into a person's body, and it can work in person or remotely. So can you explain a little how it works? What happens in your set?
The idea is that it's going beyond the concept of what an aura is, and tapping into the possibility that there is a etheric zone around our bodies that is always the same. It's always the same distance from our bodies, but as we age, it fills back with information. So if we are 2 years of age, it still sits out, whatever it is, 5 foot or so, whatever. It can be smaller or larger. But in that field, there is 2 years of information. And at 80 years of age, there's 80 years of information, and combing through from the outside to in. And so, sometimes I will get bounced outside of the biofield and go into past lives as well. But even within that biofield, tuning into, we have family rivers that run either side of our body, whether it's masculine or feminine, particularly mother, father. So there's this kind of history that these rivers that run through that clear past, present, and presumably future. So it's tuning into that. And while there are those that say the information is in the field, not the body, there is also those that say the information is in the body and reflected in the field, regardless of it's, for me, that's a chicken and an egg, and it really isn't relevant because tuning one will tune the other. Whatever dissonance, and when I think of dissonance, all I think is those fingernails that go down the chalkboard. That's dissonance. That dissonance can come from our mother having medications while we're in utero. It can be from a thought of our father when we're in utero. It can be after we're and I always like to say to people, because they blame themselves for how they're feeling. This is not you. This is your mother and father who have done this to you. We just don't go into story. And I've never liked to go into story, although especially with things like family constellations, I always plug my ears so that I don't get people's story. I just want the purity of the energy so I can just tune into the truth. I don't want your story, but we know with practitioners, we know that often verbalizing will help things pass. So I do allow for a little bit of storytelling, and I've got a wonderful active listening ear. And if you want to tell me your shit, that's all right. You can tell me your shit. But so anything can be the fingernails on the chalkboard. And all the forks do is put resonance into the field or on the body that allows the body to say, hang on a minute, I'm in a state of dissonance. And thanks to that resonant fork, that beautiful sound, the body and the field autocorrects. It's absolutely phenomenal.
So if that frequency was out of tune, it in tunes back into its original position, right?
Yeah.
And then you feel that whatever the cause of that misalignment of frequency was there, that it clears, right? That's the idea.
Yeah. So for me, because I'm very, very sensory with the Biofield tunings, it comes through my body. Sometimes I'll get flashes and words, but it's very embodied for me. So whatever it is that is the dissonance that comes through me, I will sit in that space and tune it until that passes. So if it is toxicity from medications, that can often I've had to work for hours on people with these poisonings that take place, or just a flash of anger that can be just, all right, we'll just put some sweetness in, and it can pass very, very quickly. It's hilarious, these things that, you're hanging on. All right, we change forks. I go and work on the body, and back we go. Different forks, because we've had these very deep forks, and I call them like the mother-father forks. They offer these deep, beautiful, the beautiful tones, and I will often start singing along as well, just humming into, because so often people have missed out on a mother love or a father love, and it's almost like singing in a lullaby at these particular points, and it's beautiful. So whatever comes, but it is all about making things resonant that were otherwise dissonant. Very simple, actually.
Yeah, sounds really fascinating. And then you say that you add to this whole picture of frequencies and forks as well, crystals. So how do crystals fit in here? Well,
it's like I got into bioresonance because I was going to go to South Africa with Michael Tellinger's. He had a sound thing on. And the woman who started Biofield tuning, Eileen McCusack, she was one of the speakers there. And I was another one of those, bought the plane tickets and didn't end up going. But I became enamored with Eileen and started, this woman's really onto something here. This is quite incredible. And because as a hands-on practitioner and being really fundamentally quite a lazy person, I thought, it's so much easier to clear people with forks and didn't have to put my hands on them. So, it was born out of laziness, essentially. But since learning that it's just as much effort and energy goes into providing this, to be that hollow bone and not allow anything in to set that space up, that takes energy as much as working on people's bodies. So the crystals came in. I think Eileen, she uses crystals, and she does, because she's a very scientific brain. She's not a woo, and so for her to use crystals, she's like, nah. And finally, she said, all right, I'll throw a crystal on. And so, and we know with something as simple as quartz. We know the ability of quartz being the conduit. So this isn't science. This isn't woo. This is science.
Mhm.
You know, we use this in our watches. We use it everywhere. The ability to see with metals that the beautiful, how conductive gold, silver, copper are for us. So, and then just having an awareness that it doesn't matter if something actually has what we see as breath going through it, that everything is infused with life, everything. So,
It's so wonderful to actually picture that those frequencies actually stacking up, because
yeah.
obviously it's all vibrating as everything in nature.
Yeah. And I think I remember Evia talking about penduluming, and just beautiful, her description that, and she is so spot on with this, that crystal pendulums work up until a certain point, but that crystal only has the information that it has. And beyond that information and that ability to pretty much answer the question that you have, that can only be within the realm of what the crystal has experienced. So, you know, Evia herself, I think she's had crystals that have just broken.
Yes,
because
exactly.
the information goes so beyond. So, you know, this is it's measurable. It's quite incredible.
Yeah, those crystals would add their own energy to that information.
They just bring, it's like having your little team.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It is. And that's not to say, as we know, I can tune into the energy of a blue calcite, and with my intention, put that blue calcite into that wherever that space is that I want to put it into. And you guys have been instrumental in really hammering that home for me. But, you know, again, being a lazy bastard, I'd much rather just have a blue calcite and plonk it where it needs to go. That's much easier.
Well, whenever you say lazy, what I hear and what everybody else might hear is the nature principles, because nature will not unnecessarily complicate. So nature will go to the simplest way to do things. We tend to complicate because of the mind. Otherwise, nature will save as much energy as possible because there's no need to use it up. So
Okay, well, yeah, for sure. In accordance with energy saving principles and in line with nature, that's why I make the choices I make.
That's why I'm actually lazy. I love it. I really like the story that you shared. Maybe we can hear part of this as well. How at one point, I think it was connected that you mentioned it was connected to that water fast again, that you felt that your whole body became magnetized. How did it happen? What actually happened there?
So it started because I was doing weird things with inside and outside, and it started one day. I decided that my room needed to be black. It's blackened out, and so I got sheeting, or I can't even remember what I got. I think just, you know, like your duvet covers. I had, you know, dark duvet covers, and getting tacks to put them up, and the tacks were attacking me. They weren't sitting still in my hands. They were bouncing around in my hands. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on here? And even the little tacks that have the little plastic on the end, the metal bit would turn around and stab me. It was just crazy. So then just going and just sort of, this is weird. Let it go. Starting to go around my house and put my hands over things and feel, okay, that's really interesting. But and as I was saying, with walking over where electrical cables were, my body would literally burn. But prior to this, for maybe 6 months, my body had become feeling electrified, and I thought that I was developing an EMF sensitivity. And it got to the point that I could not wear shoes. I couldn't wear bare feet inside my house. Outside was fine. Inside, I had to wear my rubber flip-flops because my body was burning. Wow. So, yeah, it was crazy. And who knows what was going on there, but it was at the end of that point that I did the longest water fast that I had done till that point, that this magnetic came. And it was only, as I was saying, I had a friend came over and he said, "Oh, put some food in you, love." So I ate some cashews and ate a bit of cheese, and my whole body came back in. And I said to him, I'm saying, this and this and this. I was saying, I'm magnetized. And he said, "All right, well, show me where north is." And as I was saying, I just fell on the floor. My body turned around like a compass point, and my feet pointed. I was absolutely drawn. It's like a magnet. When you snap two magnets together. So outside of those magnets, it's almost like repel, and then snap into this space. And so he got out his compass, his thin compass, and it was due north. So from that point on, I didn't fall on the floor every time I decided to work out where north was. But it was done. It was actually done through my feet, and then realizing, being always wondering, this beautiful thing that birds have, the ability that animals have to be able to sense their direction. And, but humans don't have that. Birds have a special thing in their brain. That is absolute rot. We absolutely have that ability, but being able to perhaps put yourself in a space of clearing out the clutter to be able to tune into that is all that we need to be able to anchor ourselves into that point.
That makes so much sense. Decluttering the information that is making noise and actually disturbing that feeling. And it comes in a form of eating some sort of random unhealthy foods and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, or any food. Really, I'm a huge proponent of playing around with water fasts. Clearing out even the body processes, the energy that our body puts into digestion, being able to allow that energy to move to a different space to open other things up. I think it's very cool to play around with it. If not just for health reasons, but for all the woo reasons.
Exactly. For the reasons to playing with it. It seems that the processes that burn most of our energy is digestion and sexuality.
Yes, absolutely. It's
so kind of promoting trash food and over sexualized culture. Make sure we never tap into these energies, right?
Well, it's not even just the over sexualized culture. It was again on my communication immersions. We were told right at the start, if any of the women have got their periods, you need to let us know, because we become beacons for it's 3 particular wild beasts that are known to attack women that have their periods. And the same goes for people who find themselves in tents in the middle of Africa and decide to have sex. They attract wild beasts, because the sexual energy, and like you guys have beautifully explained, this intention that must be put into that act can be very powerful to be able to encapsulate the act, the energy of the act into something. But to just this, we're just, whatever it is that, people who choose to have sex for the sake of having sex, you are dispersing your energy everywhere. You are disempowering yourself. And even from that, from a Chinese medicine perspective, we learn as acupuncturists that the energy of life, the Jing, it resides in our kidneys. And every time we orgasm, you are losing life. You are taking time off your life by doing that. I mean, and there's other things that deplete our Jing as well. Giving birth is a great Jing depleter, but learning all of these things and being told this, it's like, it all sits in that energetic space. It's everything's like little parts of the jigsaw puzzle.
Amazing.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right with this hyper sexuality. And I haven't understood, but then you see little, people make jokes about different things. And as I understand it, the level of the pornography that is rife is just, even yesterday I went down to the beach and just the women were in their bikinis. I'm heading to Sumatra when I've had enough of Costa Rica, and I actually look forward to these cultures that force you to cover up.
Well, this is very interesting because it gives another perspective of what it is. You know, like we tend to judge them coming from whatever we understand the freedom is, but there are some reasons why priests and monks wear what they wear, and why they have always been advised to not involve themselves with that energy. So it's really interesting how actually the field changes when you are in the place where sexuality is not so on forefront. Very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
because I think that there is a blurring of lines that
Mm-hmm.
you know, these women who are, oh no, I'm just getting brown, and it's like, can you not see with your energy? You're like this beacon that is just shooting out. You are actually depleting yourself by exposing yourself in this manner. It's very, very interesting, the very, very subtle things that people are doing without any idea that this is what's actually happening.
It takes someone who can feel these energies and see them to actually understand what's going on. This also is behind the reason that many religions are advising that women that have periods on don't go to a temple. Not about culture, about energy and what gets attracted.
Absolutely.
Interesting. So yeah, you were mentioning something to me when we spoke before about how you fine-tuned the feelings in your body, what is your natural state versus what is coming from outside, by being involved a lot in family constellations and actually getting to kind of understand what happens when you're by yourself, or what happens with other people's energies are coming in. Can you talk a little bit about what family constellations have done to sharpen your feelings?
I resisted family constellations for about a year. And then the first constellation I went to, I just scribed and sat back as an arrogant observer and just went, oh, no. But gave it a second chance without my judgments. And then started to, because originally, first years ago, when I was nursing, I always knew that I could read people's minds. And when I was nursing, I had to do this thing, it was pre-employment medicals. And so I had to do this functional and physical assessments on people. And I had this guy that was going off into the mining, young fella, and I was doing his arm strength, and I got a flash of me being raped, and I nearly pissed my pants. And I shot a look over to him, and he was standing, staring into the distance, nodding his head. I just went, oh, fuck, oh, no. I stayed and kept going, and every nerve in my body was screaming at me to get out of the room, but I stayed. And from that point, I became really frightened of touching people. And because always I finish people's sentences, I know what's going on in people's heads, but always it's, if I ever would try to cross-reference, or people are so frightened of other people reading their minds that they will lie. No, that's not what I'm saying. Oh, okay, well, I must be off the mark then. So this was when I was only, maybe it was in my early 30s that this first happened to me, and early mid 30s. And so I became terrified and searched for someone to help me. How do I not be so frightened of what is only an exchange of energy that is going on with every single one of us, with every single interaction that we have? That's not that, my filter at that point just happened to smash it into my brain to make it realize the power of the exchange that can go on. So that said, I decided to give family constellations another go because I knew there was something special, and I started to tune in to the energies that was going on and the energy exchanges that were going on between what was called then, you know, the representatives of whatever it was that was wanting to be constellated. So I started going, and I loved it. I became addicted to it. If there was a constellation going on, I was there. There was, you know, two constellators that came through Bali at that time, and I was always either at one, not either at the one. It was, you know, every few days there was constellations going on. But I started to notice, for me, I had a left knee that would play up. And when I was asked to represent, I had no left knee pain. And after the constellations, I would go outside and do my clearings, and the left knee pain would come back. Mm. So I knew then that your left knee pain is just an emotional, whatever it is, it's just, this is not, because I have physically damaged my left knee, and I always clung to the, you know, it's a physical injury that's doing it. But being able to be in that space where I'm actually still in my body, and that left knee injury is not doing anything, you are just hollow boning for another energy, it was phenomenal. So then being able to sit from that point of going, wow, you can actually switch out of your body and go into, I mean, it's actually out of your story. You switch off your story and switch into another energy that, okay, this is really interesting. Then you start to, where are the filters? Where are my filters, and where is my perception coming through? You know, is it my left hand with the crystals, communicating with animals? For me, it's you can't explain it, but there's a space inside my mind that is an open space that, and all the rest of my mind can be going chatter, but that is where the communication goes. And it's not you can't even, maybe it is a physical. And for me to be sitting here, it's almost like it does sit. I don't know where it sits. It sits somewhere there, but that's where my mind's eye makes maybe that's what enables me to be able to be human and feel this as well. So, yeah, so family constellations is just phenomenal. And there have been a couple of constellations where I've been asked to represent very special things, and I've actually said at the end of them, do you mind if I don't want to be cleared, I'd like to go home feeling like this. Amazing. And you know, yes, that's okay, you can go home feeling like Jesus. You know? Amazing things happening after just walking out, having the embodied energy of something else, I don't know, and these amazing things that will happen in a very short space, walking from here to my home space, just phenomenal. So yeah, I love, and I don't know if it's just the two people who I was, you know, had the wonderful privilege of befriending and opening their doors to me to participate in the family constellations, because I don't know what other people all around the world do, but these two particular women, they're just phenomenal. Although I know that neither of them are practicing family constellations currently, so yeah, everyone else gets to luck out. I came in at the right time.
Yeah, we might have even met there, because you know with Miriam.
No, it was actually Miriam that she'd been going to your, was it afternoon tea parties? I don't know what it was then. And she's like, oh, you know, Lisa, you know, knowing that I'm an extraordinarily judgmental person, and it's very, you know, don't tell me they're special. So she'd been going for a while, and then she said in passing, I've met, you know, I'm going to these things, would you like to come? And I'm like, oh yeah, all right, I'll give it a bill. So that's actually how we met, was thanks to Miriam.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. 20 years ago in Bali.
Yeah.
This is so interesting, actually, to understand that we are getting almost like we load on the special combination of energies that are kind of contained in a person or in an inner aspect, and that you can then walk with it and kind of live it for a while. And yeah, so I guess this is what you explained me. Then you made like this knee pain, okay, this is me, I need to work on this one. When I embody somebody else, then
Yeah.
it's not there.
Yeah. So, and being able to pull that experience into the biofield tuning. When I was a student, I was in Greece. So we had to tune a certain number of people before we could progress to the next blah, blah, blah. So because I don't know anyone in Greece, and well, I do, but they weren't there. I did everyone remotely.
Mm-hmm.
So with the woman whose house I was in, my beautiful friend Eleni, I was tuning her while she was in Africa. And so I was on the 3rd level of the house, and I would just lay out cards where the chakras are and then go into it. Her special dog, Ruby, who never, ever came up to the 3rd level of the house, started scratching and whining at me from the other side of the door because Eleni was in the room with me. It was phenomenal. It's like, this is just, you can't go past proof of that. This is actually energies that we can intention into a space. But so that showed me just how powerful this ability that we have to be able to, remotely do whatever it is, anything. But I was tuning another friend at this time who is she's a Tanzanian tribal woman. And I was tuning through the field, and I just got intense anger. And I just, being a prone to outbursts of anger, I just thought it was me. So I'm just like, let it go. It's not, and it's because my friend, she's a beautiful person. And looking at her, you would never know that underneath this, she's a very, very angry person. So my preconceived ideas of this is what the tuning is going to be, it wasn't that at all. But with doing that, with leaving the field, and sometimes I will leave the field without closing off because I'm a bit stupid and forget. And it's like, you must close the field. This is over. You have to disconnect from that person. So with Upendo, I was tuning the anger. I was like, oh. And I needed to go to the bathroom, and I just walked outside of the field and went to the bathroom, and the anger disappeared. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. All right, this isn't me, this is Upendo. So that's thanks to the family constellations, being able to experience other people's energy. That's enabled, I don't know how other biofield tuners biofield tune, but that's enabled just this thing to come through with the biofield tunes that is very much, that's learning, with animal communication sitting here, although things do come through the body, actually feeling things within your own body that can, using your body as the mirror for another person's energy. It's quite, and I'm a little bit voyeuristic as well. I don't mind going and, what's that feel like? I'm the kid that sucked on mothballs, So.
I love this level of awareness that you have about what's going on in your body and where everything is, because in many modalities of meditation, this is the actual goal, is to go and scan your field and understand, where do my thoughts emerge, where my emotions emerge, how are they actually feeling in the body. And I love how you said that the animal communication sits in this area over here, and then some other is over here. It's, for somebody who is not as sensitive as you are, it will take years or a lot of silence and non-exposure to cell phones and stuff to actually tune in and scan until they get there. So it's really beautiful to see that level of discernment. you know. And what I want to go ahead and ask is, so what happens in that part where how does that animal communication happen? You mentioned a little bit that it's kind of always on, even if you're thinking about something else, it's kind of always on and waiting for the right radio station to come in. So how would you say that you experience it?
I think, I don't know, maybe to describe that would be, I guess there's a couple of things. So first, we all know how to do this. We all absolutely can do this. There is no doubt. But for whatever reasons, we get distracted from our capabilities. So when I was on my first immersion, the two mentors, one of them, because I'm not shy in telling people I'm awesome, but yes, I'm not shy in telling people if I think I'm a bit of shit, then I am shit. So, hello, darling. Because one of the mentors, we had a really cheeky banter that would go off, and he would test me, and it's like, oh. So the first time with us doing our tracking, everyone, I think there was 8 maybe that came in the group, 7 or 8, I think 8. And so everyone got animal prints. And so, people got paws and really obvious. My paw print, my animal print, it's in a space, like a 1 foot space, was a tick. It was just a scratch in the sand, one scratch. And Peter, he had this smirky look on his face, this cheeky smirky look. And he's like,
Crack this.
There you go, Lisa. Yeah. What have we got here? You bastard. But anyway, so I went over the tick. And I think we had 4 questions. It's, like, where am I? What am I doing? Something, just very, very broad questions. And prior to this, with our practices, we had been given photographs and asked just questions. Where am I? What's my, what color bowl do I eat out of? All of these kind of things. And with that, you must engage with yourself with breath, silence, breath. And whoever it is that you are wishing to communicate with or tune in with, I send out a literal plug that goes from my heart to their heart. So my plug goes through and I ask permission, is it okay if we have a chat? Hi. So first starting, because it's like having annoying little children, that's what we are to them. It's like, so in all humility, I come to you and I'm going to ask inane questions like, what's the color of your food bowl that you eat out of? Yes, I'm quite happy to engage. So this is the practice that starts the practice. So with these 4 questions with the tick, just putting my hand over, calmly going in and just, all right, energy of the scratch. What have you got for me? And I got it was like a water monitor. Like almost, we call them goannas in Australia, like the Komodo dragons, except small scales. And I said, okay. And that's Flash, this lizard that came up, and she's on the side of a water bank somewhere, and she's actually got eggs all around her. So that's what very visual that came through to me. And that's actually what it was. So, and then going from there to later, like years later, at the advance that I went on, tuning into dead animals. So we're just given tiny bits of information that the park rangers know that there's a kudu that was brought down by wild dogs over there. We're not told this. We're just, there's the kudu track. Where am I? What's happened? And in that, being able to silence body going in, it's like kudu's over here. Oh yeah. And being able to tune into the history of the energy. This is, the idea of ghosts, and just everything leaves an imprint. That, you can intentionally clear. We clear spirits out of houses and all of this kind of thing. But, this purity of energy that hasn't been cleared, we tune into that. So yeah, with the communication, but then learning. A couple of days ago, the 2 dogs that I'm minding, they were gone till it was 9 o'clock at night, and at about 7 o'clock, I started to get really concerned because it's jungle here. Who knows what is out there? There's also farmers around that have shotguns, who knows? And they trot off in a pack of 6 or 7 dogs, and who knows what they do. So anyway, I was like, right, I need to tune into these guys if they're not safe, because I was walking the property, and it was like when I was getting to one end, I was like, this isn't right. They're not here. They're not here. Okay, just calm down. Where are they? Okay. So I came back inside and tuned into Rox first. All right. Hey, Rox, where are you, mate? Show me what's going on. And Rox was having a ball. I had got him pictured. The picture came through that he was walking down like a waterfall river, just sniffing. And my whole body goes into this physical sniff, 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 sniff. My nose is literally, and I can't do it now because it's not, I can't do it. That's Rox doing it with my nose. It's just this, and it's like, okay, cool. And then I tuned into Zelda, and I got panic, and I got something with this. And it's like, okay, I realized that when we are in a state of panic, and it's especially doing communication with our own animals can be really difficult because we have a vested interest in the outcome. Our cat might tell us something completely different than what we want to hear. So with Zelda, I switched off. Sorry, Zelda, thank you, and flipped out of that because that was my panic and my story that was coming into her because she's a puppy, and it wasn't true. It wasn't real. So knowing in this space, no, that's not her. This is me. So I ended the communication, went outside, yelled at them, right, twice, Rox, Zelda, you come now. And 5 minutes later, up they trotted. So, oh, you little mongrel. So, but that's the same. I help out some people with finding their lost animals as well. So it's so much easier when you don't know the animal and when you don't care. It's like, the animal's lost.
Yeah.
It's not my problem. So being really, really objective about our experience with animal communication. People will save the whale, save the dolphin, don't eat meat, rah, rah, rah. You cannot go in with these preconceived ideas. They're very human preconceived ideas that dulls your communication with what can be mind-blowing experiences.
Yeah, this is actually very interesting how you were able to discern whether this was a message or it was your thing. This is mostly the problem with people who are trying to learn anything about channeling, anything about connecting.
Yes.
They wouldn't have that level of discernment. Where is this coming from? Who is telling? Who speaks? And even if it's me or someone else,
Yeah. And not just is anyone there? Oh, nothing's there. Okay. I must have answers. I must have this, that, or the other. It's like, and that's very weird stuff can happen when we make these demands of ourselves that this is what's going to happen. And I know that we've spoken at length about all of these different things that can come in when people are channeling that are not, they're not here for our best interests because we so want higher self to be, we want this. And that just attracts these energies that are not necessarily here to help. I don't know.
And in this case, how did you know it was yours and not the dog's message? How did you discern it?
The discernment doesn't come with, is this me or is this Zelda? It is just an immediacy. You don't go searching and looking. You trust that. You must trust that first, no, this has to stop. And the discernment only comes when this dog walks through 5 minutes later, happy, covered in shit. She's covered in mess. Oh, hey, where's my food? So
confirmation,
it's like this retrospective discernment. Yeah, confirmation.
Great. Great.
For sure. But we're tuning in with lost animals. It's because it takes me a lot of energy, and so many things can distract out of that. So allowing that, if I'm in a space and I become aware of a distraction that is actually distracting me, not just the white noise, I have to stop, go, have a break, apologize, and then tune back in. So
Beautiful.
They're awesome.
So you tamed all the neighborhood dogs. They are coming all to your place.
Well, yeah, there's movements going on around here and coming and going of people, and it's really unsettled the dogs. So yeah, it's nice to be in a space where people are like, oh, it's going to be like this. It's like, we'll see. How, what? They're not what? They're not barking. They're not, but yeah. But having to be the alpha, I'm the alpha dog. It's like we're all friends, but I'm the alpha. So,
yeah. It's important to establish that, actually. Yeah. And
people underestimate the value of food. The saying that you always reach a man through his belly. It's like, it's very easy. Give them treats. You've got them in your hand. Nothing special or energetic or etheric about it at all. It's just bribery.
Just that. Yeah. You just bribe them. As you can also bribe women with compliments.
Yes. Being depending on the signs that you follow, but sometimes Sag, I'm so easy to bribe.
Beautiful. So, this was, I think it's really amazing, those things that you do, like communication with animals, healing the animals, healing people, biofield tuning. Did we mention something about acupuncture? This is what you started. Do you do acupuncture as well or no?
Yes. Well, I when I left school, I actually studied commerce and became a militant, man-hating, hairy armpit feminist. Don't open the door. Yeah, I was so well cultivated by this left-wing, I majored in industrial relations and bring down the man, and I'm a Marxist, I'm a communist. I was completely and absolutely brainwashed by the system that was supposed to be teaching me to become a leader in commerce. But I did that because my dad would not let me study arts. He said, you don't get jobs from arts. And I had wanted to be a lawyer at one stage because I have a gift of the gab and I love the drama of the court. So backing straight on to finishing that. And I had worked hospitality. So I was also, all of this came to this point where it was like, okay, I was chefing, just finished the commerce and got a job at my first ever grad job was at a university, and it happened to be at a healthcare center. And my dad he was an acupuncturist. So I grew up with acupuncture. All of my sporting injuries, it's, I would go home with broken thumbs, bang, bang, needles, gone, fixed. So I grew up with that. And I went virtually 6 months later after finishing the commerce, I enrolled in homeopathy and just went, no, this is too information dense for me and there's not enough tangibility for me. It's all about differential diagnosis with homeopathics. It's a brilliant modality, but the practitioner, they need to know what So I did that for maybe 6 months and then just went, no, this isn't for me, and transferred over to acupuncture and nutrition and loved it. It's just phenomenal. The mentors and lecturers and what have you were all amazing. And during that time, because I was working as well, but my dad was paying, he always, doesn't matter, except arts, I'll pay for whatever you need to do. So he was paying for the acupuncture degree, which was insanely expensive.
Mm.
And he died. And so after that, it was like, I can't expect for my mum to continue on paying for this. What should I do? So because I had the degree under my belt at that time, you could do teaching or nursing for a 2-year degree. And so I did teaching for 6 months and then realized I swear too much. I went and did my practicums at a school. So I was going to be doing English and history. I started at primary and just went, no, this isn't, I love kids, little kids, but this isn't right. All right, I'll just do English and history. And just sitting with inside that system with the curriculum that they teach and being exposed to these teachers, I just went, there's no way that I would ever last in this system. Okay, well, you're studying acupuncture. They let you get away with the F-bomb in health, go and do nursing. So I went into nursing and I started nursing at 30 years of age. And so I studied the part-time acupuncture, full-time nursing. And then when I went into the nursing, I stuck with part-time acupuncture. And after 10 years of studying acupuncture, this is where the mind just self-sabotages. I set in mind that I'm not allowed to start practicing acupuncture until I'm perfect, until my body is in a perfect state of health, because I can't stand seeing health practitioners that are obese and, you know, that they're not practicing what they're preaching. So and I know that was self-sabotage, and whether that was fear of failure, fear of success, I don't know what it was, but but I always have my needles. I actually haven't stuck a needle in someone for maybe 10 years now, but I always would take my needles into work and, you know, needle the nurses and all of that kind of thing. And any friends that wanted needling done, I would needle, but it was never a career that I stepped into. It's just been a wonderful foundation for all of this other things that have come up. It's Chinese medicine's amazing, really.
Wow. And then nutrition also kind of connects to this as well.
Yeah, so it's that said, with my dad being an amazing acupuncturist, he was also an anaesthetist. So he was embedded in these two systems that were so he would try to he did a lot of obstetric anesthetics, and he was always looking for women that he could use acupuncture on during childbirth, as opposed to the epidurals and all of this kind of thing. That said, I grew up from, I can't even remember how young, opening up the cupboard door if I had a sore throat, taking, the brand was Penn Britain, it was a penicillin, swallowing that down and then going and saltwater gargling. So I grew up with antibiotics, and I was antibiotic damaged. So I grew up when I started studying acupuncture, and I think I was maybe 20 or 21 when I started studying that. I realized that my microbiome was ruined, so became very focused within these natural health that you pull in whatever electives, and it was brilliant back then with the biochemistry and blah blah blah. So I became really interested in healing up my own body. I was diagnosed with arthritis at 22 years of age, absolutely bedridden arthritis. It was excruciating, and going for 12 months down the path of you know, anti-inflammatories and then just going, no, I don't want, this is not my diagnosis. I need to start moving it or I lose it. So in one day just went, I grew up very sporty, playing hockey, softball, swimming, very competitive sports person growing up. And I just went straight the following day, went and started playing hockey again.
Came back
really
into the physical activity.
Absolutely. And this, you know, and it's, I do get frustrated with people that cling to their diagnoses, because you choose to cling to your diagnoses. And I know that I need to be compassionate with people. It's like, oh, I've got this, I am this. It's like, oh,
victim mentality.
How can I slap this out of you? Because it's not true. It's not real. It's, you know, this nocebo effect of that you see, right, you know. And I nursed for 15 years and I ended up facilitating. So I got to go through hospitals nursing homes I got to discover, because I worked for the universities and I was headhunted because I was a very good facilitator who used to plant seeds in all these conspiracy theory seeds and cover it with some kind of nursing excuse. I was just, oh my God, mold the minds of the children. But these fights that I would have with all of these senior consultants with how they saw this genetic world of cancer and all of this was just mind-blowing. But unfortunately, when I did go into nursing, I was studying so I could come and diffuse in my acupuncture classes with what I was seeing going on in the hospitals and what they were teaching us in nursing. So it was like everyone would sit with bated breath. It's like, what happened at the hospital today? It's like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what they do. So being able to juxtapose, but essentially with the nursing, with the entire healthcare system, I had a beautiful practitioner who I was talking about the nursing with. And I said, I'm not, I hadn't nursed for 18 months and I was handing back my nursing registration. And I was like, I don't know what to do because it's something that I can use and travel with. And she said, well, okay, Lisa, how would you feel if you ever had to go back into a hospital again? And I said, it would kill me. And she said, there's your answer. So you've got to let it go. So it was very, very simple to let the nursing go. But yeah, but not to have that, these people that do operate from within the system. And I was going to study medicine at one stage and I sat for the exams and I did well enough to get into the University of Melbourne and was like, right, I was coming from a place of anger, working with doctors who are morons. And it's like, I need to be compensated for what I have, what I know. And so I'm going to go and study medicine. And when I sat down to put through my enrollment forms, I just assumed the cutoff would be the 30th of June because that is, always the cutoff for everything. And it had been 2 months earlier. I said, all right, thank you, universe. I'm not going to go and proceed with this. So I do take my hat off to people that do work within these systems, whatever the system is, and they are beacons of light in these systems. But I know I would have been sacked and deregistered and all of this kind of thing. The same with nursing. It's seeing what has happened, in these ensuing years, and seeing that I was an advocate and I was very outspoken with particular protocols that are put in place for children that I never went through as a child. Thank God that I was outspoken in nursing with saying, read the product insert. This is not necessarily something that you want for yourself or your child. And it was several years later that in Australia, the registration council there then became entitled that nurses, doctors, physios, dentists, anyone that came under this umbrella system could actually go to jail for speaking the truth about anything. I thought that's very, very interesting that I chose to get out and not. And then, and that's when I became very interested in going private and, no more registrations, no more tax, no more this. We need to reframe how we live. So I don't even know if you asked a question then. I'm just talking rubbish.
It's actually very much connected because it answers this question is how you actually chose modalities that you did. And this is what I'm kind of learning from this. So what I wanted to see if we can share somehow how our guys from Empower House and others can actually reach you to get some of those sessions that you are offering. How can somebody get like Biofield tuning session with you, or how can they ask you to tell them what their pet is thinking and where is it lost or what it needs, anything like that? As by the way, our cat is having a little vet episode today with her with what she's going through, but anyway, that's just a side note. But how can they get
Is she stressed?
Well, of course, no cat likes vets because somebody's going to do something to her. but it's a little infection that she has on one part of her body. But she's stressed, yeah, and she got it because I think her immune system came down.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm happy to tune into her. It's just, I just need a photo and that's it. But but I mean, you and Evia, well, Evia in particular, you know, you have you ask, there's a special that you have that it can be very difficult to sit outside of that animal that is, you know, extremely distressed. Like I showed you porcupine face coming home 2 days ago, having to pull, it was 220 quills out of his face and mouth.
It's amazing. You'll send me that message, that picture. I want to maybe put it together because it's literally looking like from the cartoon, the dog with all of those porcupine thorns on her nose. That's looks
and
painful.
anyone looking at this, you know, people are like, oh my God, that's distressing, that's awful, but it's actually really funny.
It's also funny, yes. Oh my God, poor thing.
Awful. But we humans, we get engaged with the story so much. So on one of my trips, there was an elephant that was in the water dying, and to stand and look at this elephant and put a human story over the top of this elephant could have been very, very distressing. And for most, it would have been very distressing. But enabling yourself to actually tune in to the elephant and see the elephant. Okay, what's going on with you? He's broken his leg. And him going through this it's just a physical, because he's getting up, trunk coming up and gasping and then flopping into the water again. He died at 4:44 the following morning. And there were 3 of us that woke up and said, he's dead. And that's when I thought he died. But we attach so much to body that it can be very difficult for us to differentiate what is just a very physical thing that your cat is going through. She might be she in pain, but then for me not to put my own story on top of her and my own worry on her, she starts worrying because I'm worrying. It's so difficult when you are so in love, and it's the same with your children, any of your loved ones, to be able to go energetically into something completely objective and not worrying. And I think my objectivity, people have called me, you're a hard ass, you don't care, and it's like, no, it's, you wouldn't believe how squishy I am inside, but there is an objectivity that I can just switch off. That has enabled me throughout, you know, when I'm doing excruciatingly painful things to humans and animals, that except porcupine face halfway through, I lost my shit and I just bawled and bawled and bawled. I'm so sorry, mate. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We're halfway through. We can do this. And it was, you know, and then, all right, back into it. All right, mate, come on, let's go. So
super important.
So for your cat, you know, that she is going through, but we are putting icing and cherries on top of the cake. That is this, you know, it's so hard for the humans, you know, beautiful, empathetic and compassionate humans, not to, you know, engage in such a way that's not necessarily beneficial to the one that's going through their experiences.
Yeah, that's a great illustration. Thank you for sharing that. It's super important for people to know. And as for that matter, it goes for dying as well. If somebody's dying and we attach and we call them in, and
absolutely,
it's difficult for the soul to actually detach if we are
I've had to
having our own sorry, go ahead.
No, well, in the hospital system, because, you know, I've witnessed death and held hands while people are dying, and it has been quite an amazing watching what I see as vultures coming in. So you'll get the black coated religious practitioners that will come in and try and do the prayers and do last rites and all of this, and they're actually stealing their souls. They are capturing this person at their final moments of breath, and they are whipping them away. And so to sit in that hospital environment and be just, you know, pat, massage, you're dying, whatever, making a person as comfortable and as stress-free as possible. But then when these vultures come to the doors, turn into a lion and just get out. Nah, holding that space for that dying person. So the death is really interesting. It's
Yeah.
But
yeah. So how can
me,
somebody?
Because I am a very, very private person. I don't have social media, blah, 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 but I am on Telegram. So through Telegram, and if people these things with like lost pets or this or whatever, people often in that panic state, and dog's been gone. Well, they don't go into panic until 5 days after the dog's gone. It's like, could have gotten in touch sooner, but through my email address, which is elshti@protonmail.com, and that's just my initials in sort of phonetics. So Lisa Susan Helen Tully, which is LSHT@protonmail.com, ELSHTI, or through Telegram.
And also on Empower House, whoever is on Empower House. Well, this is mostly for Empower House members.
Yeah,
you can just text you there on the platform.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's always good fun to play around. And these while people, when they're first getting when I first Biofield tune people, often so where I was living in Australia, I was starting to see a few people, and it was a lot of practitioners. So practitioners that are doing their own energy work, that have got all of these physiological things going on, and frozen shot, whatever, lots of different things. People who are less open to the possibilities are more open with a hands-on tuning. It's like, again, bribing the animal with the food, bribe the human with the sensation, the sound of the forks, because we do also the binaural clearings. So that's not to say that, so I'd love hands-on, but for people to be able to really fully appreciate just how powerful this modality can be, they must accept that these things, there's no space, there's no time. They can be done in the comfort of your own home. But I do them live with the Zoom meets as well, which people really appreciate, because it's like, oh, okay, I don't know, you're about 5 and I'm this and this and this feels like this. Is that how are you feeling at this point? So having those lives, people really benefit from that as well, because as I was saying to you, that I don't like to go into story, but often when a person can express their experience, which is a story, that can be the thing that helps them clear.
Another little sweet to bribe with. Okay, tell us the story if you have to.
Well, it's just, so that's, if I was to invite a person to experience Biofield tuning, the hands-on is incredible, because I do body work as well, and there's an acceptance that a person, when they can attach the physicality of it, rather than, I don't know how to tune into that, that makes it a lot easier for them to anchor in. So that's, for me, number one. And I really enjoy putting my hands on people. It's because our hands are amazing, and to be able to just see how cool this is, because it's not, I work on people with my hands as well. And so number 2 would be live Biofield tunings, and then number 3 would be while you're asleep. It's amazing things happen while people are asleep and not frozen up in place and what have you. But
with the guard on and the guard on.
Yes, exactly. Unlike my guards, I can remember years ago, talking to Evia about, I cover myself, because I protect myself, because I think we were talking about something with dreams, and I had always had these boring entities experiencing life through my dreams that were just mundane, boring, shitty dreams. And so I put my wetsuit of protection on, and then Evia beautifully lit the light. It's like, why do you need to put the wetsuit on? You just cover the bed, cover the house, cover the whole world. It doesn't matter. It's like, oh yeah.
Doesn't have to be so tight, yeah.
Yeah. Zip it up. Okay, I'm protected.
Yeah.
Oh, so stupid. Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
wonderful the years that of learning that I've an experience that I've been opened up to thanks to you guys. It's excellent. Absolutely excellent. So
Well, we are absolutely happy, to have such a gem. Now we have shared a little bit of what kind of gem you are, and I hope everybody is able to kind of now finally kind of see that and feel it. And this is exactly why we are doing that, because so many of us are such like colorful, profound and sophisticated people behind, and this is the way to get to know each other. So I'm super happy that you said yes to this and shared a little bit about you, especially knowing how private you can be. I remember that period where you would cover your face if there's a camera in front and all that. So you have actually gone such a long way since we've known each other, and this is
I still do cover. It's with this world of the selfie photos, these people that have their cameras everywhere. I'm an asshole.
I mean, when we were growing up, it used to be shameful that you are, if you would look in yourself in the mirror, you would kind of make sure that nobody's looking. It's like, oh no, I'm just taking a picture of myself while somebody's talking to me. Like,
and people capturing their environment, capturing the world. It's like, you don't have my consent to capture me. You delete that. How dare you? So I'm no different.
Well, okay. What I like to do is I just give them as ugly face that's gonna spoil their photo anyway. So they will auto censor it.
Well, but if you do, I mean, that's the kind of thing that will make that photo go viral. If I pull my pants down and moon them, there you go. That'll end up with 1 million views in a week's time.
Beautiful.
So, gotta be
careful. Okay, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Such fun to just chat with you. As always.
Yeah. Totally.
So big hug from here, and we see you very soon at some of our sharings. And
yes, I think
we'll actually connect later and actually maybe really ask you to tune into the cat, because we are concerned parents very partial.
Just or you just send through her photo and tell me. I need her name, and just from your perspective, what you're seeing with her. So, and if it's a particular wound, because they do not see things the way we see things. You're like, the wound. What are you talking about? The pain might actually
it's something itchy.
So that's all you got to do. Just send through, just the name, photo, and just some little, even if you don't want to send details, it doesn't matter. But it's good to frame in that. But sure. Or anyone else. It's all cool.
Beautiful. Thank you. Big hug. So much love.
Absolutely.
See you.